Hey guys, it's JFCMsnakes here, and today I will be doing a video on beginner snake owner worries. I know, especially when I got my first snake, which was Car, I was worrying about everything. So in this video I'm going to go over some of the worries you may have and why they don't matter. Well, not why they don't matter, but why you shouldn't be worried about them. And so if you're worried about something other than these, really, I'd look into it a bit more in more detail, but these are the main things I was worried about, and how you can probably overcome them. So yeah, we'll get into the first one. Okay, so the first one was humidity. This wasn't so much when I got Car, but definitely when I got the Lantos, I was so worried about that if I didn't have the correct 60 to 70% humidity, that he would be stressing and he wouldn't be able to breathe properly and stuff like this. And what I learnt was that even though my humidity it fluctuated from about 50 to 80 when I first got him, because I had a different substrate. What I realised was he didn't change. There was some days that I'd come in and like immediately after he'd get sprayed, the next day I'd walk in and it'd literally be like beyond 100%, and it'd have been like that for like a day, which wasn't very good because it had to be sprayed because it was at like 50%. So I'd spray it, and even the tiniest amount, because of the heat pad, it would take it up to 100%. So I was getting really worried that he was going to get a URI and stuff like this. But what I did was I just left it, and slowly over a couple of days it would drop to about 60 or 70, and he was perfectly fine with it. Now it's fine with the reptile bark. At the moment he's got Aspen in because I've got no reptile bark. I'm awaiting an order, but at the moment he's perfectly fine. He's on about 50% with Aspen in there. And yeah, if you are struggling to keep humidity up, just spray it more often, get a big water bowl, or if it's too high, spray it less often. Put some holes in the top, which is what I did. But yeah, now we'll move on to our next one. And the next one is temperature. When I first got Car in the tub, I didn't actually have a thermostat, and so temperature was a big thing for me, as I had to try and keep it at about 88 without using a thermostat. But that isn't really what I'm talking about, not having a thermostat. I think is especially with on-offs, don't be worried if at some points it's even 80 degrees in the hotspot, because that happened with me when I first got my on-off, even for the Lantos. Because it's an on-off, sometimes it takes it a while to realise it's gone cool, and then it'll switch back on. But what you need to realise is that snakes don't need a constant heat source. They just need to warm themselves up, and then they could go. Like, a ball python could live for about, probably, I'm not an expert on this, but a ball python could probably live for about a week at room temperature. I mean, he wouldn't be moving around much, his heart rate would slow right down, but he could probably live for a week at room temperature. So I don't think an hour at most with an on-off at 80 degrees is going to bother them too much. As long as they're getting 90 degrees for 8 hours a day, that should be perfectly fine to keep them healthy. But you definitely don't want it. If your on-off's getting below 80 degrees, you definitely want to turn it up. Okay, so the next one we're going to go on to is escaping. Now, with all the snakes I've had, I always double check, triple check even, that the lids are on, that the locks are on, because I am still paranoid of them getting out. Because a friend had it happen to me, which actually was James. His corn snake got out, and he found it the first time, and then it got out again, and he's now lost it. He hasn't found it, got out about 6 months ago. But he's now moved house, so there's definitely no chance of him finding it. But I'm just so paranoid about them getting out that I always check, and sometimes, not anymore, but when I first got Car, I'm really opening up here. When I first got Car, I used to wake up in the middle of the night thinking that it was on my chest and it was slithering off. It's a bit weird, really, but I experience these problems too. But all you need to know is just keep checking it. if you're that paranoid, like I still am, just keep checking it, make sure that all the lid's on. And what I sometimes do is when I'm checking or going on holiday or going away for a couple of days, I'll like go lid on, doors closed, lid on, doors closed. So that way, if I am ever like worried like, oh, did I leave the lid on, I'll just remember that I said that little phrase. So I know that they're sure. It just works for me. Well, and that's all I've got to say on that one. And the last one is feeding. All snakes, I believe, unless you've got a great snake, will miss a feed here or there. Truth be told, Coco missed her last feed. Don't know why. She struck at it and then let go, gave it to again, and about an hour later struck at it, let go, just wouldn't eat it. Actually left it with her for like an hour. She still didn't want it, so no, that was no fault of me. She just obviously wasn't hungry. But when I first had my first refuse, which was Zeki, if you remember him, Carl's actually never missed. He's actually like a great snake. But Zeki, when I first got him, he fed like 2 and then missed one, and I got really paranoid because I left him 2 weeks without getting food, and I thought, is he going to be alright and stuff? But a true fact is that snakes can go 6 months, probably about that, without food. Some big snakes, like big anacondas, big Burmese pythons, can actually go longer than this. They can go about a year, but ball pythons, even like these babies, will go for about 3-4 months without food if they want to. I mean, Lelantos has only ever struck once for me, and I've had him since. When did I got him the 14th of the 6th. It's alright, I was just reading the chart on the wall. But I got him on the 14th of the 6th, and he struck and fed on the 12th of the 6th, and then never struck again. So he feeds, so like I'll give it to him, he won't strike it, then I'll just leave it in his enclosure and he'll eat it like off the floor. So he feeds pretty much every week. The only reason he didn't feed this week is because he's deep in shed. But so I actually only had one snake that fed this week. But what you've got to learn is just not to worry about it. They're perfectly fine. They're not humans. They don't have to be fed 3 times a day. They're perfectly fine. And if you have any more worries or queries, just leave them in the comment section below. I'll get straight back to you. I mean, I'm on YouTube every day, so I'll get back to you as soon as I can. I mean, there's nothing to worry about with them. They're extremely easy animals to care for. I mean, people think that just because they need heat and that they're exotic, technically, animals, that they're really difficult to care for. They're not. They need a heat pad to like 90 degrees on a thermostat, and that's practically, I think, a ball python could shed in room temperature, to be honest. I mean, room humidity. They're extremely easily just a water wall hide. It's like caring for a hamster, just with heat. But yeah, if you have any other worries, just leave them in the comment section below. I'll get straight back to you, and I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you please hit that like button if you've enjoyed the video, and if you're still interested after that, please hit that subscribe button. It's been JFCMsnakes. Yeah.